What up, Joe? How are you? Long Beach, good to see you, man. Hadaki, how are you? Good morning, Live Me. Good morning, YouTube. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Nice State of the Union coverage last night on the Jimmy Dore Show. Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Glad you liked it. It was fun. Man, it was tiring. I was a little worn out after that. That was a long State of the Union. That was a long stream. And like I kind of summed it up on Twitter. We went from Trump to Joe Kennedy to Bernie. So as far as that show went, man, those opening acts sucks, but the headliner was worth it. I thought Bernie did okay. I didn't like everything he had to say. There were a couple instances where I was a little disappointed. But overall, I thought he did pretty good, and especially compared to those other two. Holy shit. What's up, Marcus? How are you? What was with all that drool on Joe Kennedy's face? My heart sank when he talked about Russia, Joe says. I'm with you. I was a little disappointed by that. I think he got pressure from elsewhere to do that, though. I think I was disappointed that it happened. Was I shocked that it happened? Not necessarily, because I think he is, he's kind of playing the game to some degree because he wants to run in 2020, and he wants to get those voters, right? Paycheck? No, not for Bernie. No, I don't think it's paycheck. I think it was more pressure from his advisors, some of the people he's surrounding himself with, and I think just pressures of he still is, in the Democratic establishment to some extent. I love the coverage of the war rally last night. Thanks, Nick. Good callback. I like it. Oh, Joe Kennedy? Oh, of course. I think Joe Kennedy was drooling because he had just seen the paycheck he had gotten from Big Pharma. He had just deposited that into his bank account, so he was drooling because of that. This is really a rising star. He doesn't even know how to use chapstick. And Jesse, no, I did not see Schwama's response, unfortunately. A train carrying all of the GOP Senate and congressmen just crashed. I hope you saw the coverage somewhere. They are all okay. One person outside the train died. I did not hear about that, but tweet me an article. I have not heard about that yet, but please send me something at Ron Placone. We already have some stuff that people have been sending in. Yeah. Guys, we are on to... We're past 30 people over on the Live Me. That means this show has officially begun. Oh, cool. Joe tweeted an article about it. All right, so we're going to be talking about that. Also, apparently, any thoughts on Ben Swan reemerging? We'll look into that. What did I think of the speech last night? We'll talk about that. But guys, the show has officially begun. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. Get your news on with Ron. If you want to know what's going on, we're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. If you want to know what's going on, we're getting our news on today. Tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We go through it together. We'll make it our own. Get your news on, Ron. If you want to know what's going on, getting our news on today. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles at Ron Placone. We go through them together, or of course you can send me articles over on our Reddit subsection. It's just reddit.com/r/getyournewsonwithron. And we got a few things going on over in the Reddit and over on the Twitters. So let's just go through it here. You guys have sent me a couple things that we got to hop on pretty quick here. So let's start with last night. Some of you guys were asking my thoughts on the State of the Union. So I'll just kind of give that really quick here. Then we'll go into some actual stories. And please share your thoughts with me as well. I thought that Trump's part was basically just a war rally. I like how it was. I think it was like one of the longest. I think it was the fourth longest ever on record. But I think if you edited out all of his talking time, I think he probably only talked for about 6 minutes, and the rest was just mindless applause. I mean, they just applauded everything. He would be like, "Good evening. We're all here." That would be like me. Like the equivalent of that would just be like, "Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron." The world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I'm your host. All right, you get the idea. I already wasted too much time. You guys got the point. All right. So I thought, and it was basically just a war rally. All he did was tell really mawkish stories. And yeah, they were terrible things that happened. I totally get that. I'm not trying to marginalize any of the people involved or any of their experiences. They were just being used by the president. They were being used as pawns. I don't think they realized that, but that's all he was doing to all those people. And he just created just this big, long State of the Union that was basically just war porn. And it was basically just a war rally. I mean, it literally was a war rally. So Donald Trump had a war rally. Joe Kennedy had a speech where he said nothing. That guy literally said nothing. He did not respond to anything Trump said. He looked like he had drool all over his face. I have my theory. It's because he just got his check from Big Pharma. And, like a typical Democrat, he had absolutely no ideas. That's what they run on, absolutely no ideas. He delivered. Then Bernie got on, and Bernie actually did the job. I mean, right there, it's amazing. Bernie already just hired the bar legitimately by actually doing the job he was supposed to do, responding to a State of the Union. He responded to the stuff Trump said. He talked about a lot of policy issues. Were there some disappointments in his speech for me? Yeah, I was disappointed that he brought up Russiagate and kind of harped on it the way he did. I wish he would have used that time instead to talk about ending the wars. I really do. But he didn't. And I think it's because of pressure from above. Joe says the Dems' new logo, we stand for nothing. I'm with you. So yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is as far as those three speeches go, the headliner was pretty okay, but the opening acts really sucked. And I think in a perfect world, we would have heard those three speeches, and one of those speeches was going to be a really shitty audition script from a movie that never got made. The other speech was going to be footage from the most boring high school assembly ever in the history of high school assemblies. And the third speech was from the actual president of the United States. In a perfect world, that would have been, or at least in a better world, that would have been that situation. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So those are my thoughts on the State of the Union. Oh, and by the way, how about your resistance? Look at all those Democrats clapping and standing up for Donald Trump and all of his ideas, his racist immigration ideas, the wall, standing up for that. Somebody just tweeted at Rep. Joe Kennedy and said that I call them a Starbucks conservative. Nice. Let's see here. All right. So Joe, you said you tweeted me something on this accident that happened that I've not heard about yet. So I'm kind of looking for that right now. When did you tweet it? Tweet it again. And guys, tweet me articles at Ron Placone. Okay, you guys both did. And apparently something went down in California. Oh, here we go. All right, I found yours, Joe. We'll start with the one you sent because I found it first. Cappuccino conservative. Marcus, yours is better because you have alliteration. Cappuccino conservative. They can both exist. They can both exist. All right. So here we go. Truck carrying GOP lawmakers hits, or excuse me, train carrying GOP lawmakers hits a truck in Virginia. All right. So a train carrying Republican lawmakers to their GOP retreat in West Virginia collided with a dump truck in the crossing grade on Wednesday, according to several GOP aides and lawmakers. No major injuries have been reported on the train, which crashed in Crozet, Virginia, about 15 miles outside Charlottesville. Man, that place. All right. Wow, that place has had a stigma as of recent, huh? The lawmaker said that at least one person who was in a truck died, while two others sustained injuries. President Trump spoke to Speaker Paul Ryan by phone and is receiving regular updates on the crash. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said Ryan was on the train but was not injured, according to his office. Okay. There is one confirmed fatality and one serious injury. There are no serious injuries among members of Congress, of their staff. Senior administration officials are in regular contact with Amtrak and state and local authorities. Okay, there's a million pop-ups coming up on this damn article from The Hill. Am I a bad person for being disappointed? Jesse says. Representative Tom Cole said on CNN that there appeared to be at least one fatality, which was close to being noticed. So the only people that got hurt were people in the truck. And one of them sadly died. So that's not something you hear about often, like a truck colliding with a train. So there are no reported injuries to passenger or crew members. Both House and Senate members were on the train, including some spouses, children, and staff members, though it's unclear how many. Man, this will be another reason Republicans can go after public transportation. but yeah, I mean, I obviously I'm glad nobody was hurt. I mean, it's terrible what happened in the truck. So, but yeah, I mean, what else can you say about something like this? You don't. Hey, how did that happen? I mean, that's just so. No major in a train carrying. They collided with a dump truck in the crossing grade. Why would it have been in that area at that time? I mean, it seems like something weird had to go down here. I mean, this is a train. It's not like this was like a bus and it collided with a truck. I mean, this was a train that was on, train tracks, right? Like, so we're probably going to hear a little bit more about this. This is a weird thing. I'm very, very sad to hear that somebody on the truck got killed. There are many crossings with no gates, DC says. Maybe the truck stalled, Jesse's saying. Yeah, I think that's probably possible. Yeah, there had to have been something, weird that went down for something like this to happen. I mean, it doesn't seem like, and I guess there probably are areas where there are no crossing protections. I'm not like totally fluent on the layout of all the train tracks in the States, but yeah, and it is odd that it happened right outside of Charlottesville. That is an interesting coincidence. So I guess we'll see. Maybe a tire blew. I got bars is suggesting. DC 420 LA says liberal terrorist. So yeah, we'll watch this unfold because obviously there's going to be more to this. Because it's just like DC 420 also says karma. Dem Socialist points out you can still drive on a rim. You mean like a truck? Like you can still kind of just like drive on the rim. So they might have just like collided because they misestimated like the space they had. Is that what you're saying? Hmm. Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, it's interesting that something like this, or not interesting, but it's tragic that something like this could happen. What retreat were they having in West Virginia anyway? Like, what were they retreating about? They've, um, yeah. All right. So let's move on. I think right now we're just kind of waiting to see what happens. Um, and That's cool that the president's talking to Paul Ryan about it. Um, Marcia Smith, back in the day, we called them wine spitzer liberals. If it were Democrats, Jennifer W. says, if it were Democrats, they blame Russia. Jesse suggests it's a pill popping retreat. Joe suggests they were going to look for all that clean coal, that clean, beautiful coal. There you go. The Republicans were on a retreat to find the clean, beautiful coal. So, yeah, I guess that's what it is. That's our story. The GOP was on their way to find the clean, beautiful coal, that gorgeous, beautiful coal. How beautiful is it? So beautiful that Brian Williams can masturbate to it after he's done with the missiles. And unfortunately, this accident happened. So make sure to send all of your GOP representatives thoughts and prayers. So apparently there's some news with net neutrality over in California. And Uppity Bumpkin, I'm gonna just Google it. Thank you for the article. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, from Ars Technica, California Senate defies FCC, approves net neutrality law. Net neutrality takes big step forward in California, but lawsuits loom. Here we go. The California State Senate yesterday approved a bill to impose net neutrality restrictions on internet service providers. I would change that to net neutrality protections. Oh man, here we wait. Let's do this. Let's do this State of the Union style. This is a big. The California State Senate yesterday approved a bill to impose net neutrality protections for consumers. All right, I'm over it too. Challenging the FCC attempt to preempt such rules. The FCC repeals of its own net neutrality rules included a provision to preempt states and municipal governments from enforcing similar rules at the local level. But the governors of Montana and New York have signed executive orders to enforce net neutrality, and several states are considering net neutrality legislation. The FCC is already being sued by 21 states and the District of Columbia, which are trying to reverse the net neutrality repeal and the preemption of state laws. Attempts to enforce net neutrality rules at the state or local level could end up being challenged in separate lawsuits. DC says, you did it, Ron. Your testimony was so powerful. Yes. I wish that was true, but you know what? It's important that everybody does their freaking part. So I'm glad we did what we did. I'm glad we did what we did, and that we're continuing to do what we do. I showed up to city council. Some of you guys saw that video, and we're demanding municipal internet in our communities. We have to keep that up. We have to keep that up. The DC, Joe points out this is definitely going to be challenged by the FCC, and it is. It will be very tough for them to override states' rights. But this is why we have to try all of the above. And man, Ajit Pai, how's it going, buddy? You're a corporate shill with no integrity, and everybody hates you. Almost everyone in the country hates you. You made an ass of yourself when you DM'd a porn star that told you to go fuck yourself. So you're a pathetic corporate shill, and guess what, pal? You're gonna frickin' lose. You ain't winning this one. You're gonna lose. And I know Ajit Pai watches this stream all the time. So he's gonna see this. Boom. California may be the closest to passing such legislation after yesterday's Senate approval of SB 460, a bill proposed by Senator Kevin De Leon in Los Angeles. The bill passed 21-12, With all 21 yeses coming from Democrats, the bill is now being moved to the state assembly, where Democrats have a 53 to 25 majority over Republicans. The bill will prohibit home and mobile internet providers from blocking lawful content, application services, or non-harmful devices, except in cases of reasonable network management. Throttling would also be outlawed, along with paid prioritization or providing preferential treatment of some internet traffic to any internet customer. More generally, the bill prohibits ISPs from interfering with a customer's ability to select, access, and use broadband internet access service or lawful content, application services, or devices of the customer's choice, or an edge provider's ability to make lawful content, application services, or devices available to a customer. All right. ISPs would be forbidden from using deceptive or misleading marketing practices that misrepresent the treatment of internet traffic or content to its consumers. Violations will be punishable under the state's existing consumer protection laws, which allow for injunctions and financial damages. The California bill would also prohibit state agencies from buying internet service from an ISP unless that provider certifies under penalty of perjury that it will not engage in the activities banned by the bill. Good for you, California. We got some talk about De Leon. He does have a super PAC. He's taking some money from the same parts of Feinstein, and he's certainly not my first choice at all. You know, I'd rather see I'd rather see one of the progressives that's running. I'd much rather see one of the progressives that's running. Sorry, I got a phone call. But in this case, focusing on this story, you know, because that's a different topic for a different day. Focusing on this story, this bill's good. This is a good. I mean, any news pro net neutrality is good, and we have to throw everything we have at these people. And when I say these people, I mean the FCC, I mean the ISPs. They're going to do whatever they can to repeal net neutrality, and we can end the battle once and for all if we get municipal broadband internet in all the communities. And the ISPs are scared. They know we're doing this, and they're scared. They know the states are drafting up their own laws, and they're scared. And good on California. I mean, my next step is to bring this to the attention of some of my elected officials and to continue the conversation for municipal broadband. And that's what I plan on doing. I recommend doing the same in your community. Show up to municipal internet is the same thing as a public ISP, Joe asked. Basically, yeah. I mean, it would be, we would build our own infrastructure. You would get your internet from your city instead of from a private ISP. It would be another utility like water or electricity. Other communities that have done it, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Sandy, Oregon, they enjoy the best internet the country has to offer. At least for residents, I should specify that, for residents, at a price that is cheaper than what most people generally pay for their internet. And Chattanooga's been ahead of the curve for years now. Chattanooga, they were a step ahead of everybody. They've been doing it since like 2014. So the battle continues. This is good news. This is good news for my state, California. Dem Socialist says, I think Canada does that, don't they? I'm not 100% sure. I know that a lot of other countries do it that way. They kind of made the internet a public good, which is the way it ought to be treated, especially at this point, because it's essential to the lives of all of us. Some places did something similar to us. Australia did something similar to us by privatizing internet access. And they have really shitty Wi-Fi as a result, just like us. You know, I mean, we privatized the internet. We allowed a legal duopoly to happen. We're really fighting a battle because of it. The FCC might win this battle with this particular bill, though. We'll see. I mean, the fight continues. Like you said, companies wanting more profit grew after they put business on the internet. Absolutely. And now the ISPs are the biggest price gougers. So this is good news. Of course, you know, again, the fight is not over. I encourage all of you to do everything you can in this battle because it's going to be a long one. I showed up to my city council. You guys should totally do the same. DC 420 LA posted a video of my full comments on to my city council. If you're looking for a place to start. I'm not saying that I'm, you might hear my comments and be like, wow, Ron really sucked. That's fine. But if you want just a case study to look at, maybe to help frame your own comments, where can I go to learn enough to bring it to my city? I don't think, you don't need to be an expert on infrastructure or anything like that. All you have to do is just show up to a meeting and tell your council that you want it. You think it's a good idea for the city. You think it's a worthwhile investment. And, if you look at the comments I made, I did speak their language a little bit. I spoke the language of, this is a good community investment. This would benefit residents. This would benefit the community. I did focus on that stuff too. I didn't just make kind of the moral argument for it. I did that as well. But I also said, like, this is a good community investment, because it is. It's a great investment for any city, especially a city in Southern California. Because, look, LA is the show business capital. There are tons of, startup-esque, shows and stuff like that, media ventures. Like, we have the Jimmy Dore show. Even what I'm doing right now, there's people all over the place that do this on a larger scale. In Los Angeles, if all of a sudden Pasadena had the best internet to offer in the area at a reasonable price, there's going to be an influx of the creative class into Pasadena. It would benefit the community. And then, what else? Other places in the area. I guarantee if one community in the Los Angeles area does this, it will spread like wildfire. And that actually might not have been the best analogy to make, considering what's gone as of recent. So I apologize, but you know what I mean. So yeah, domino effect, forever voting third party points out. Yes, that's a better analogy to throw out. A domino effect. There we go. So yeah, this is a good thing. This bill is a good thing. The FCC will certainly fight it. But this is a good net neutrality bill. And, opinions of De Leon aside for the moment, this particular bill, good step, good thing. Glad it's there. Glad it's happening. And this is some good net neutrality news. We definitely woke up with some very good net neutrality news. And hey, if you don't live in California, states are going to follow suit. New York did it. Montana did it. Now we're doing it in California. Other states are going to follow suit. And, I recommend everybody participate in any way you can, because this fight is huge. The free and open internet depends on it, and we need to have all hands on deck. So, Uppity Bumpkin, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Guys, if you have not tweeted an article yet, hold off on it, because we have a ton of stuff and not a lot of time to get there. So yeah, I think eventually I gotta expand this show. You know what I mean? I think eventually. Oh, and here, I'll give my comments a retweet. DC tweeted it out. I'll go ahead and give those comments a retweet. Trump approval up to 42% in new poll from a 32% low. Is that as of this morning? Someone just said this in the chat. DC said this. Is that as of this morning, DC? Because here's the thing. That is something that's going to happen when you have this war promotion. War still gets people. War still gets people. Let's see here. Christofferson Kakavekos. Keep spitting the truth, Ron. Thank you very much, Christofferson. I probably butchered your last name. Kakavekos, is that close? All right. I'm just gonna. Sorry, I try. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it very, very much. Let's see. This is from Whiskers. Let me give it a Get Your News On with Ron retweet, and then we'll jump into it. And then after that, hey, Kate, what's up? After that, we're going to go over to the Reddit because we have some stuff over on the Reddit. Lobbying's top 50 pour $540 million into influence campaigns. The top 50 lobbying spenders in Washington, hailing almost exclusively from corporate America, spent more than $540 million on influence campaigns last year. I thought it was just Russia. I thought Russia made Facebook ads, and that's why we were all brainwashed. I used to think I supported single-payer healthcare since I was 19 years old, and I learned about the damn concept and said, yes, this is what we ought to be doing because every other freaking industrialized nation does it. So I wanted to support candidates that also supported single-payer healthcare, which is why I supported Dennis Kucinich in the '08 primary and thought that Obama was going to be a moderate at best disappointment, which he ended up being for 8 freaking years. So then I thought, I'm not going to take this centrist bullshit anymore. So I supported Bernie Sanders. I thought that was just how I thought, and that's why I did it. It turns out Russia was brainwashing me. They also brainwashed me into thinking that there were actual water protectors in DAPL. Turns out they were just Russian spies. Same with Black Lives Matter, right? I thought it was just Russia bought Facebook ads. All right. By the way, all that stuff that I sarcastically mentioned has been said. There have been people that said that DAPL was a Russia thing. That the people that were protecting their water, that got their heads cracked in, that were pummeled with freezing cold water, that were basically tortured by hired thugs. That's what those contractors were. They were hired goons to brutalize peaceful protesters. There have been people on the quote-unquote left, the Starbucks conservatives, and that's what they are. They are Starbucks conservatives or cappuccino conservatives or corporate apologists that have said that was all just Russia propaganda. Same with Black Lives Matter. Because racist police brutality against black people, that's not really a thing. Russians hypnotized you into thinking that was a thing. They've been staging it for years. They faked Rodney King. I mean, how fucking the nerve of people to, it's disgusting. Jackson Facts. I thought DAPL was Susan Sarandon's fault. Yes, it is all good call. But Russia hired her too, so it's all connected. I did see. Did you see? Host asked if Nunes is Russian agent. Not sure. Sorry. The top 50 lobbying spenders in Washington, hailing almost exclusively from corporate America, spent more than $540 million on influence campaigns. Oh, so I guess what I'm getting at is maybe our problem is that corporations have unlimited control over our political process, and they buy our politicians. Jesse says, Susan Sarandon did the Time War for Putin. All right, the total represents almost a quarter of the $3.34 billion that was spent on overall lobbying, a modest increase over the amount the top 50 organizations spent in 2016. Groups representing big business, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Josh Halleman, here we go. Josh Halleman of MSNBC posed that Nunes could be Russian agents. Well, we covered a thing. Yeah, so Kimmy points that out. Yeah, yesterday we covered a thing on the FBI where it's just like, it's just xenophobic, nationalistic, paranoid ranting at this point. So anyway, Google last year surpassed Boeing and AT&T to become the top corporate spender on lobbying efforts in Washington. The internet giant spent more than $18 million, an 18% increase over 2016. Facebook spending increased by 32%, while Amazon's jumped by 14%. The growing dominance of Silicon Valley in the lobbying sphere is a shift from the early years of the Obama administration, when defense contractors, energy and healthcare companies, and industry groups were the biggest spenders. So we're getting diversity. We're getting diversity in the corporate purchasing of our politicians. We have variety now. That's democracy in the United States. That's what we mean when we say democracy, and everybody gets a chance. We have a diversity of predatory capitalists. That's good. That's good. That said, healthcare groups remain steady in the higher echelon of spenders on advocacy last year, with the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, PhRMA. By the way, they just gave Joe Kennedy his big check. Blue Cross Blue Shield, the American Hospital Association, and the American Medical Association, all making the top 10. So there we go. That's who bought your government, guys. That's who owns our representatives, and they all own the same people. All right, let's see. I think it might be time because we got about 20 minutes left. Jess points out lawmakers on both sides actually go on retreats periodically. Guess it's to encourage unity. Yeah, I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I'm with you, but I happen to think it's a bunch of bullshit. Thank you for the tweet, Sam Adams. Appreciate it. And let's see. Oh, this is something interesting. So Seth retweets this. Seth retreats. Seth is retreating, everybody. Capitalism by its nature is predatory. Owners only for themselves. Very true. 76% of the increase in union membership in 2017 was workers under the age of 35. The total number of union members grew by 262,000 in 2017. 3/4 of those gains were among workers under 35. So, people like to, the only people that don't complain about unions, as far as the general public goes, are people in them. You know what I mean? And I mean that as in when you experience a union, you realize how good it is. And, I mean, that's why anyone in a union is pro-union. People that aren't in unions, that maybe don't understand how they work, that maybe have fallen for propaganda because maybe they worked at Walmart at one point and they had to watch that propaganda anti-union video Walmart shows all of their employees. Or maybe they were brainwashed by some bullshit neoliberal message. And when we say neoliberal, we don't mean liberal in the social contemporary American sense. We mean liberal in far as the liberalizations of markets and trade. And the liberalization of corporations, freeing them to be as predatory as they want to. Joe points out, once you experience something good, you don't want to get rid of it. Jesse points out that Macy's does a similar thing. I'm not familiar with Macy's thing. Their anti-union video, I'm not familiar with that. I wouldn't doubt it, though. I certainly wouldn't doubt it. Portland, thank you for the likes. And again, glad to have you back, buddy. I missed you. And I'm glad you're feeling better. And I'm glad you're back. Dem Socialist, thank you very much for the likes as well. And, there's an article out there. I saw it a long time ago. And Kimmy points out that her husband, who is in a union, can retire at 50 with full benefits. I want to join that union too. Joe points out people experience the ACA. They don't want to get rid of it now. Exactly. And people don't realize what's good about the ACA. They think it's like, oh, well, this is just Obama came up with this and it's great. No, it's not. First of all, it's Mitt Romney's healthcare plan. It's actually a right-wing healthcare plan. However, compared to how broken our system was, it's a baby step in a better direction. The ACA is better than what we had. Was it a good plan? No. Did it get progressively worse? Yes. And I remember as that was going on, we were like, well, this isn't what we wanted, but I guess this is our baby step. And then we saw that baby step get gutted and gutted and gutted. Well, at least we still have the public option. Nope. They caved on that too. They caved on that too. That shows how broken, when people celebrate the Affordable Care Act, the celebration should not be what a great piece of legislation that is. The reality is our system was that fucked that this was a step in a better direction. And I've benefited from the Affordable Care Act. I have. I recognize it's a baby step in the better direction. I'm better off for it. However, I also recognize that it is very, very flawed for many reasons. And it's not what we need. We need single payer. But again, as Joe points out, people experience the benefit from it. They don't want to let it go. That's why the time is now for universal health care. So we used to be in the wild west of healthcare. Yeah, absolutely. Them socialists is already preparing for the crash. So getting back to the actual union thing, a lot of people have said that the left in this country is more reminiscent of the left during the strong union days, during the post-Great Depression days where we had the rise of unions that continued throughout basically the 60s. And then come the 70s was when we ushered in this wave of neoliberalism. It really got heavily amplified during the Reagan years and during the Clinton years. And that brings us to where we are today. My entire lifetime has known nothing but failed, trickle-down neoliberal ideas that have brought this country to its knees. That's been my entire lifetime. And a lot of you guys watching the stream, that's been your entire lifetime as well. ACA was the GOP replacement for this fight now. Obama, GOP light. Yeah, it was Mitt Romney's plan. And all the things that made it slightly better, like the public option, I mean, that all got gutted. They took all that. So, yeah. So then Republicans had to go even further right by creating literally an anti-healthcare bill. You know, Obamacare was a GOP bill, basically. It was a GOP idea. It was Romney Care. So once the Republicans got in the driver's seat, they went a step further and literally Bezos and Buffett coming together to lower health costs, socialism much. Yeah, they're going to try to instill healthcare. We're going to have Amazon Health. It's going to be a huge disaster. And I know they're saying it's going to be a nonprofit. I know Bezos and Buffett are saying this will be a nonprofit. Let's keep in mind the NFL was a nonprofit until a couple years ago. Just because something has a nonprofit label on it, and there are a lot of great nonprofits out there, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this as a way of saying that overgeneralizing actual nonprofits. I'm just saying because of the loopholes, just having that nonprofit label attached to you does not mean much. They're going to find a way to milk as many dollars out of this as they can because that's what they do. They use our economic system, which allows them to do it, to be living viruses and to suck up the resources anywhere that they are. They're predators. That's what they are. They're not great businessmen. They're predators. It sounds better when you put that bow on it, huh? Oh, they're great businessmen. They're geniuses. No, they're predators. They're predators. So anyway, getting back to this, they say that the new left kind of mirrors the left of the heavy union days, where it's like, and of course, social issues mean a lot to us, millennials, and I'm part of this group. Millennials care about social issues. They care about equal rights. We care about all that stuff. However, we're really building the bridge and connecting the economic issues with the social issues because really they go hand in hand. Exactly. As Joe pointed out, we also care about economic issues. And we see the connection. We see the connection. And, living wages are connected to the most marginalized among us. Having access to clean water is connected to the most marginalized among us. How can you call yourself somebody who favors LGBT rights if you don't support living wages? Because, you talk to people in the trans community, a lot of them have a very hard time finding work because of who they are, which is terrible. So how can you say you're for that when you don't support living wages? And I know people that they, they are basically Republicans that care about gay rights. I know people like that. And it's like, how can you say you're for this community when you don't support living wages? How can you say that when you don't support people's access to clean drinking water? How can you say you're for groups of marginalized people when you don't support banning fracking? Jesse points out trans women especially, which brings up the claims to feminism as well. Bella Ryan agrees. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're all connected. Like they're all connected. And I think that the new left, we see that. We see that where it's like, you know what? You can't say you're for all these social causes when you don't support living wages, when you don't support single-payer healthcare, when you don't support a ban on fracking, when you don't support a jobs program, when you don't support educational opportunities and free college. When you don't support all that, you don't get to say you're a champion for marginalized groups of people, and especially the younger people that are getting the short end of the stick, because all those are connected. Murphy wants, can everyone type oil spill China, please? The West is ignoring it. Murphy also asks, can you touch on the oil spill in China? Yeah, we'll go there next. Yeah, we'll go there next. And then we're going to hop over to the, to the Reddit for a bit, and then we are out of time. But for now, let's go ahead and Google oil spill China. We'll go here to Reuters. Millennials are abandoning religion. Oh, wait, here, I'm missing some things in the chat. I'll hit this first before we go into the story. The more religion disappears, the less abortion and gays will be issues. GOP offense stems defense. One team voters sidelined. Millennials are abandoning religion in droves. That's right. That's another category I fall into. I am a millennial without religion. And yeah, we are abandoning it in droves, which if you want to have your own beliefs, that's your choice. I'm not against that. I mean, obviously, believe what you want to believe. But I think a more secular society is a very good thing. I think a lot of our parents' generation, they mistake the goodness of their community with organized religion. They don't differentiate the two. Like, I think if I sat my dad, because my family's Catholic and they practice, they've always been what I like to refer to as buffet Catholics, meaning they're actually pretty progressive people. And they take the lessons of love and charity and peace. And a lot of those other lessons, they don't take. And it's like, well, but, the church works actively against this stuff. So how can you, I don't understand how you can pick and choose, but people do it. I feel like it's like you're either a member of the team or you're not. I don't want to be a member of the team. But I feel like if I sat them down and, some of the religious dogma that's out there, if I sat them down, it was like, do you honestly believe this? I don't think they could say yes. And I'm not trying to single out one particular religion, because a lot of them preach the same kind of absurd stuff. I mean, I don't know how to and it's like, it's a security blanket, as Kimmy points out. It's a security, and I get that. But I think our generation, we're seeing through that more, because we don't remember the evangelicals as this peacenik anti-war movement. We remember the evangelicals as this far fringe right televangelist movement, which is what it is. So we see all the damage. So we're saying no, thank you. China plans first lab on ocean oil spill cleaning. So China's Ministry of Transport is planning to establish a laboratory specializing in treating oil spills in sea, the first of the kind in its country, local media, Science and Technology Daily reported. China is spending some 200 million yuan a year on researches for emergency treatment of oil spills, but the technology expertise has not been widely applied because of the lack of such a lab. The laboratory is planned in the northern port city of Tijan off the Bahi Bay. To date, only the United States and France have laboratories capable of undertaking testing and inspections and in treating ocean oil spills. I guess the United States have it because, we do that a lot. We do a lot of oil spills. So what happened? The Iranian oil tanker Sanchi collided with a dry cargo vessel early this month, about 160 nautical miles off China's east coast, in the world's worst oil tanker disaster for decades. And the corporate media in the United States has been silent on this. Man, you'd think this would be all over the news in the Western world, as some of the YouTube super chats point out. But the West is ignoring it. Why? Because this is a really compelling argument on why we need to invest in green energy, why we need a Green New Deal, why it's time to get away from fossil fuels, why it's not a sustainable way of doing business, why it's destined for disaster and already has led to disaster. We're not hearing about this in the West. We're not hearing about this in the West. So now that China's getting on this, hopefully they'll make some bigger progress than the United States have made. Because honestly, I mean, the U.S. we have scientists that are bought out by the oil companies that they kind of throw this propaganda out there because they're paid to do so. China usually leads the way on a lot of things. So hopefully now that, the one kind of silver lining here is that if China is kind of throwing some science weight behind this, maybe they'll come up with some better permanent solutions. And yes, we're not hearing this in the corporate media because every third commercial on MSNBC and CNN and Fox is for oil and gas. They're not doing that because they want to get the word out. They're doing that because they want favorable coverage. They don't want stories like this talked about. The worst oil tanker disaster for decades just happened a couple weeks ago. We've not heard about it. No one talks about it because it's bad for business. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. Mindor, Minky, and Murphy, thank you guys very much. I appreciate that. For anyone just tuning in, you are watching Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. We are almost out of time, so we're going to hop over to a few more things, and then we're going to hop off. In fact, this will be our last story of the day, and we're going to end with something a little lighter. First of all, I'll get to some of your guys' chats. Joe points out he didn't know about this till now. I had heard grumblings about it, but that was it. So, I mean, for the most part, I'm really just getting hip to it now. Dem Socialist, I believe in God, but not anything we've been told about it. I don't trust what humans have to say about anything, really. Now, here's the interesting question to ponder, and we don't have time to answer this now, but Dem Socialist, this is my question for you that we can ponder on another time. Does that make you an atheist? Because here's the thing, like I always tell people I'm either an atheist or an agnostic, depending on what part of the country I'm in and how often people are armed. But, expanding on that, some people define atheist as you just don't recognize a God that's been predetermined. So, Dem Socialist, you're pointing out you believe in a God, but you don't believe in the God that is taught. You believe in a higher power that binds the universe. Well, why does that have to be a God? I mean, that certainly has nothing to do with the God we're taught about. So does that make you an atheist? Spirituality is separate from religion. Bella Ryan points out, yes. DC recommends that makes you a deist. All right, I can go with that. Yeah. But I mean, to say there's some kind of cosmic energy, I mean, but again, couldn't it be both? Because if you're just not recognizing a God, atheist, you don't have a theist, easier to explain and understand. It all had to start somewhere, of course. And that's why I say, like, if by atheist you mean that I know for sure there's nothing above us, and when I say above us, I don't mean literally in the sky looking down going like this. I mean like above us as in above our understanding, above, more powerful than us, that sort of thing. Well, I don't know that to be the case one way or the other. I don't know. There's no evidence one way or the other. So if atheist means, well, I know for sure there's nothing, well, then I'm not an atheist because I don't know that. But if atheist just means I certainly do not believe that the God that we're taught about is a real thing. And I take comfort in that belief that it's not a real thing. Well, then by that definition, I'm an atheist. You know what I mean? So it's very, there's a lot of overlap, and it's a really fun question to ponder. Joe says, I'm an agnostic atheist, don't recognize a God, but I don't know if there is a God. Joe wants to have it all. I'm like, well, are you an agnostic or an atheist? Joe says, I get both terms, and you can't take them from me. And he's right. He's right. Forever voting third party. If there is a creator, man couldn't describe him or her. Tryptophan and DMT bound all living organisms in the known universe. I'll go along with that theory. Them socialists nailed it. All right, we're gonna end with a lighter story since we just talked about the most disastrous oil spill in decades, or at least collision. Guys, I feel a little bit validated with this last one. Pizza, according to this article from thedailymeal.com, Jesse points out real quick before we hop off the religion thing. I'm an agnostic Jew, Jesse says. I don't know, but I'm good at guilt. You know, I was raised Catholic. We do the guilt thing pretty good too. We do the guilt thing pretty good too. DC, de facto atheist, very low probability, but short of zero. De facto atheist. I can go with that. And I think that make a damn good name for a punk band. Pizza is a healthier breakfast than most cereals. I've been vindicated, you guys. I have been vindicated. Cold pizza, microwave pizza, store-bought frozen pizza. It doesn't matter what kind of pie is on your plate this morning. It's probably a healthier breakfast than a bowl of cereal. Part of that is probably because we just pass off candy as cereal. Oh, Marcus, you sent this one? Well, thank you so much. You validated me. You've heard me talk about how I don't like milk in my cereal, and it's weird, but I wear it. And you've heard me talk about how I like eating pizza for breakfast. We've been vindicated. Thank you, Comrade Marcus. And I'm drinking out of my Kurt Vonnegut mug. Yeah, this article freaking rules. If you're considering eating pizza for breakfast, there's a good chance you're wildly hungover. Nope, not true for me. Not true for me. Jason Fax points out, as long as it's vegan pizza. Also, the leading religion right now is in fact astrology, which is more of a spiritual belief based in science. Go millennials, getting back to our Babylonian roots. Hell yeah. And we're getting back to our union roots too. So whenever someone bashes the millennials, tell them to fuck off. You know? The millennial will be like, shut the fuck up. It's nice. Yeah, okay. Guess what? Especially if it's a baby boomer. But hey, you weren't in the Beatles, all right? All right? Not trying to bash the baby. There's a lot of awesome baby boomers out there. I'm not bashing. All generations have awesome people and not awesome people. That's how the world works. There's a lot of shitty millennials out there too. All right. Getting back to why pizza for breakfast is amazing. It's got protein, it's got carbs, it might even have vegetables. In fact, according to our government, it is a vegetable. That hot slice of cheesy goodness is a balanced breakfast if we've ever seen one. And heck, if Beyonce can eat cupcakes after Soul Cycle, you can eat pizza before 10 a.m. I'm putting that on a t-shirt. No, I'm not. Plus, you're making a better choice than most moms when they feed their kids cereal for breakfast. Why? America's cereal options are nutritionally bleak. There's rarely protein, healthy fats, or anything but spoonfuls of sugar. And even though it helps the medicine go down, that's not in the article, that's me. It's still, you know, whatever. So, you may be surprised to find out that an average slice of pizza and a bowl of cereal with whole milk contains nearly the same amount of calories. However, pizza packs a much larger protein punch that will keep you full and boost satiety throughout the morning. This is according to Chelsea Ammer. MSRDN There we go. She mentioned that pizza isn't a healthy food per se. It's certainly not your most nutritious option, but when compared with a quickly poured bowl of sugar flakes, it's a more balanced meal. Yeah, I realize this. You know, a cereal I enjoy Crave, and my roommate also enjoys Crave cereal, so we get that. And one day I was just eating it, and I was like, "This is candy. This is just." They're like these chocolate filled puffs, and they are delicious. But I was like, "This is candy. This is not breakfast cereal. This is not a meal. This is candy." And you know, we've known this for a long time. They've passed off candy as breakfast cereal because in marketing, it turns out you're better off with a slice of pizza. I've been making the right decision for years. Didn't even know it. Thank you very much, Holly Van Hare. Thank you very much, thedailymeal.com. Let me get to a few chats here. We are out of time story-wise. Buddhism is the only belief scientifically proven, Forever Voting Third Party says. And as somebody who does occasionally chant, which I do occasionally chant. I do occasionally go to some SGI meetings. There is some truth in that because a lot of the beliefs in Buddhism relate to cause and effect, and the and just you get back what you put out into the world. There is science behind that. So yeah, that's an interesting point. Let's see here. I like this religion discussion. We should have it again. I would love to. Kimmy also says we should have it again. It's so fascinating to discuss with people I've never met before. I got pizza on my mind. Joe says I'm hungry for pizza now. Kimmy also hungry for pizza. Careful, the nut jobs might start a Placone pizza gate. I'm just saying it's good for breakfast. Eat right now, Ron, or it will be oatmeal. Forever Voting Third Party says Joe's lunch is going to be pizza today. Open that third eye, man. And Forever Voting Third Party gives a thumbs up. Bella Ryan also hungry for pizza. Shet's mom. It's called Crave because you crave it. No shit. Yeah, it is good. Jennifer W., I know I was a condescending atheist. Portland just ate a bowl of cereal. Nothing wrong with cereal, you know. But, I prefer a nice slice of pie. Pizza, that is. Can we invite Noam Chomsky? I feel like Noam would have wanted to be off the stream by the time we did the pizza article. I'd be like, Noam, do you like pizza for breakfast? And he'd be like, I have to go. I have to go. I'm the leading intellectual in the fucking country, and no cable network will have me on. I'm bitter, and rightfully so. I'm not going to talk about pizza with you on your little web stream. I'm sorry. I think that would be Noam Chomsky's reaction to this article. But I will try to have Chomsky on Get Your News On with Ron. I will try to do that. If Clinton is pizza for breakfast, Trump is a bowl of Crave. That's not fair to pizza for breakfast, Murphy. That's not fair. I'd rather. I mean, I get it health-wise where you're coming at, but pizza for breakfast, I would be willing to vote for. Noam is a libertarian socialist, DC says. Noam would have been into the religion talk. Yeah, I think he would have been fascinated by that. Guys, we are totally out of time. Thank you so much for being here today. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? If this is your first time, what does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles at Ron Placone, or you put articles in our Reddit subsection, which is just reddit.com/r/getyournewsonwithron. And that's how we frame this show. You guys tell me what we're going to talk about. You guys bring up topics in the chats, in the YouTube chats, and the Live Me chats, and that's how the show is framed. Without you guys, this show couldn't exist. If you want to support this show even more, make sure it stays on the air. Patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get exclusive content. I got some more content that's going to be dropped later today. I actually got a full stand-up set that's not going to be available to the public. I also do an exclusive podcast every week. And you get free tickets to any of my shows when I come to your town. When I'm performing in your town, if you want to go, if you're a patron, you get to go for free. Graham Elwood and I are going to be at the Tempe Improv on May 9th in Tempe, Arizona. We're also booking some other Arizona dates. I will be at Flappers Comedy Club March 2nd and 3rd. I got that going on. RonPlacone.com for all the latest tour dates. I also got some house shows in Galena, Illinois, and San Antonio, Texas. I'm still booking those, by the way. So if you want to get involved, please do email me, RonPlacone.com. If you want to put on a show, let me know. Let's get the conversation started. Let's make it happen. Dem socialists, only terrorists put pineapple on pizza. I love pineapple and I love pizza, but I do not love pineapple on pizza. I don't get it. Whenever I'm in that situation, I just eat the pineapple off. Now, I do love ham on my pizza. Guys, we are out of time. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone, patreon.com/Ron Placone if you are so able, and ronplacone.com. Find out when I'm coming to a city near you. We do this every Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be back at you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be there. Get your news on with Ron. If you want to know what's going on, we're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. If you want to know what's going on, we're getting our news on today. Tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll do it together and get it on. Get your news on with Ron. If you want to know what's going on, getting our news on today. Thank you guys so much. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.